Okay. What has been the rate of return of the 200 biggest superannuation funds since the global financial crisis, the 5-year period? What has it been? Public sector superannuation funds have delivered a rate of return of 1.7%. Public servants out there, the rate of return doesn't even cover inflation. Corporate superannuation funds delivered a rate of return of 1%. And this is the clincher. Bill Shorten is the child, the creature of industry superannuation funds, the big ones, particularly Australian Super. What's their rate of return? By the way, this is the Labor heartland. These are the people who vote for the Labor Party, and this is the system. You know what it returns them? For the last 5 years, industry super funds on average delivered a rate of return of 0.9%. Don't even make 1%. The retail super funds delivered an average rate of return of minus 0.6%. Thanks very much, AMP. And all those funds which are trying to stop you from getting your superannuation compensation. That's the dirty little secret of big superannuation. They're failing to deliver the contract. And they've failed largely since the global financial crisis. People might say, well, it could get better. You reckon? Europe is in disarray. The stock markets are volatile. You reckon it's going to get better? And then they say to the Colin and Linda Atkins, you didn't know where your money was. Got to be out of your mind. Okay? There's a leaflet that we're going to write for the steel industry and for the mining industry. We're going to ask people who remain loyal to those industry funds like Bill Shorten wants you to, while your money just ebbs away until retirement. And by the way, the contract was the money would grow until retirement. If you don't even make inflation rates, you lose money. Okay, let's go through it. We ask people, we'll ask them, can you tell us where your money is in Australian super? And if you can tell us where it is, can you tell us what these funds are? Bearing in mind, you have been pilloried because apparently money from ASF was in hedge funds, which you didn't know about. Well, I say no one in this country knows where their money is. And these are the funds, I can't read them all out, because we'll be here for some time, that the big elephant in the room has invested in steelworkers' money. Advent Private Capital. Does anyone know what Advent Private Capital is? Who runs it? Where is it? Where's it registered? Does anyone in the steel industry, has anyone in the steel industry been told? Because Australian Super has your money in Advent. They don't tell people what Advent is. Unlike the self-managed fund people who at least got a Van Eyck strategic assessment of their fund. You don't get that in an industry fund. I'll just go through another one which jumps out of the page. There's a fund called CHAMP, C-H-A-M-P, Private Equity. Now, I know people use different names for their funds, but would you on the face of it trust CHAMP, Private Equity? Where is it? Well, we're going to research these. We're going to find out where they're registered.
Have we got the Dodgy Brothers on that list as well?
Well, we do actually, and I'll just go over to the Dodgy Brothers. When you go to Australian shares, and by the way, this is the full rundown of Australian super, which no one in the steel industry has ever got a copy of. We're going to give it to them. We're going to ask them. You get on to Ian Silk. You might have seen Ian Silk, the big handlebar moustache. Ian Silk was the only superannuation fund manager who publicly supported Swan's taking of superannuation money and putting it into the black hole of the federal budget. Funny about that. Every other fund manager said, no, you can't touch people's superannuation money. Ian Silk says, well, I understand why they have to do that. Might have something to do with Bill Short. But I just want to say, fund managers. There's a fund manager which is called Challenger. Who are they? Who on earth is Challenger? Does anyone know? Are they honest? Could it be Jack Flarder under a new name? The point is we don't know. And the other point about this is you have no right to know. And it's only people like me who get attacked for being whistleblowers or for releasing information that are going to give the steelworkers in this city that information. They are blind trusts. By a blind trust, I mean this. Every week, money comes out of your wage. Without your say-so, it's compulsory. It goes to a fund manager working for Australian Super, who you don't know. And by the way, who you have never spoken to. At least you can say with Cole, Ward and Tarrant, I could go and knock on their door. You try and talk to Australian Super about where the money is. And Stephen Jones says no one in their right mind would do that. Well, I reckon no one in their right mind would have money in a fund where you don't know where that fund is, you don't know who runs that fund. At least with Sean Richard, you could have got, well, you can now go and see him in Silverwater Prison, but at least with Sean Richard, you could have made an appointment at his office in Sydney. So, do we know what Challenger is? Of course you don't. And under this system, you'll never find out. That's the system that no one in their right mind would have money in if they had a choice. And that's the system that Bill Shorten is desperately trying to shore up. Desperately. And when the crime against Trio occurred, what did these people do? The 20 big funds that control 50% of the 1.3 trillion, a staggering figure. $1.3 trillion is the cash reserves of the People's Republic of China. That's how big it is. But 50% of it is controlled by 20 funds. 20. Hey, people say, well, in China, you can't elect the government. Well, can you elect those 20? No, you can't. And 30% is controlled by people like you. And who are the people who have been attacked over the last 3 years? People like you. Because the dirty secret of superannuation is that no one knows where their money is. No one has a clue. And under this system, you have no right to find out. Now, I just want to finish on this point. Where you have a blind trust, the government becomes even more critical. Because they have to know where your money is. They have to know who Challenger is. And they have to supervise the Challenger audit. And there's more questions to come. So we'll come to audits in a minute. And I bet you no one working in the steel industry has seen the Challenger audit. Not a chance. These are the issues we're going to raise in this campaign. Whatever happens in this campaign, I'll guarantee you one thing. The people who work in the steel industry, the retail industry, the coal industry in this city, they'll never again accept this rubbish. This is rubbish.